Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the September 3rd lunchtime community update. Today's update will focus on our return to campus with our face-to-face learners. And just know that we're going to email all of this information that I discussed today. We'll be sharing that with you and your students this afternoon, and you also have quick link access off the website. As most of you know, Tuesday, September 8th will be our face-to-face learning transition week. So just to remind you that Tuesday and Thursday, students with the last names beginning with A through L will return to their school building for a full day. And then on Wednesday and Friday of next week, students with last names M through Z will return to the building for a full day as they begin to learn the new safety and health protocols and develop routines that they will then implement fully on September the 14th. Our bus transportation will be provided to students who are designated to receive that service. So that will start on the 8th. Additionally, our cafeterias will be open to offer breakfast and lunch to our students. All students learning virtually during that week, September 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th, will have asynchronous instruction and assignments from their teachers. So that means it will be done through their learning platform, either through assignments that are given from the teachers or recorded lessons. So all students, if they are not on campus that week, will be learning through asynchronous means. Then on Monday, September 14th, all students who previously selected face-to-face instruction will return to campus full-time. So as we begin our face-to-face learning transition week on September 8th, we encourage our parents to review our safety protocol videos for elementary, middle, and high school with your students. This may help your student in preparation for Tuesday, as well as to help relieve some anxiety of how the school day will look like. We're also going to share these links and these videos with you in the follow-up email that I mentioned previously. And then they can also all be found on our Back to School website on the Back to School 2020 section. So please check out those videos and share those with your students. We have also received some questions as to why all students cannot return to campus on September the 8th. Why? So the question is, why not next Tuesday, all students? And that's a great question. Our goal for the face-to-face learning transition week is really to focus on helping our students learn the health and safety protocols and also to make adjustments as needed to ensure that our students feel comfortable in this modified classroom experience. So we're going to use this as an opportunity for us to implement our protocols, and then throughout that week, if we need to make adjustments, to do so before we have the entire student population there. So we feel like it's going to be best to go over these protocols in small groups to help our students to understand, and then also to practice it with our students, especially at the younger age levels. So all of our students are going to be watching a safety protocol video during that week. Also, your students are going to be cleaning their work area frequently throughout the day as an extra precaution. And then we'll also, as we mentioned previously, we'll be having extra custodial support during the day to provide extra cleaning in our classrooms and other gathering areas in the facility. I also want to share with you that during the summer, our teachers received specialized compliance training that focused on trauma-informed care. This training allows our teachers to identify students who may be struggling overall, but our teachers and campus counselors have developed ways to see how students are adapting to this new normal. We recognize that our students have not been in our classrooms for about 6 months. Our focus is also helping our students feel comfortable since their classrooms may look different in comparison to previous years. Teachers and staff also need to have some time to reconnect with their students, and they're going to help assist build the peer relationships and much, much more during that week and as we return to face-to-face. And so we share all this information with you because we believe in educating the whole child. It's not just about solely academics. A few other items, we have some information about buses. So if you're a parent who receives bus service, we know that you probably have some questions related to your student's bus experience and what that's going to look like. Earlier this week, we released a video, and this link will also be available in the follow-up email, along with a link to find your bus number and your bus route. Students will be required to wear their face mask on the bus. After September 18th, students will also be required to wear their student IDs. As most of you are familiar with our buses, they do log on to the bus with their ID when they get on. So with our smart tag system. So that will start on September the 18th. On the buses, we will be sitting 2 students to a seat instead of 3 students. Students will be required to wear a mask. Additionally, we will wipe down the seats and seat belts between routes, and then we do a complete robust sanitation process at the end of each school day. From a child nutrition services standpoint, our students who return to their campuses, the cafeteria system will be fully operational for breakfast and for lunch. While students are waiting in line to receive their lunch or breakfast, students will be required to wear their face masks. However, while sitting at tables eating, students will be able to remove their mask. But we just be aware that we do have see-through plastic dividers between each student as an extra layer of precaution as they eat their breakfast and lunch. And so these see-through dividers will also allow students to see their friends and enjoy some time to reconnect. But as we mentioned, things are going to look very different than they did 6 months ago when students were in school. If your student remains a virtual learner, MISD will continue to offer the grab and go meal service at 4 stations or 4 locations, as well as our bus delivery on specific routes. And so we will send a link to those stations in our follow-up email as well, or you may visit our website and that information is on there. So these are for students who remain virtual that still want to access the meal system. And also please know that due to the Labor Day holiday, if you're one of those that accesses our meal service, we will have food service on Tuesday, September 8th instead of Monday, September 7th. So students will still receive, or they will receive that day, 2 breakfasts and lunches on Tuesday, and then 2 breakfasts and lunches on Wednesday, September 9th. As part of our effort to mitigate and communicate around COVID-19, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Shore Heathcote, and she's going to share some specifics about how we will communicate regarding COVID-19 as we move forward as students return to our building. So at this point, Dr. Heathcote, if you will please join us.
Good afternoon. As MISD receives information regarding test-confirmed positive cases, your student's campus will immediately begin contact tracing, and campus leadership will contact parents if we believe your student has been directly exposed to the individual who tested positive. All parents who have students attending the school but were not in close contact with that individual will still receive notification that an individual tested positive for COVID-19, along with any additional information allowed by federal law. So just so you know, close contact is defined as being within 6 feet of a positive individual for more than 15 minutes. So that's the definition that will be used to determine that. Similar to other illnesses or viruses your students may experience, parents are our first line of defense to prevent the spread of COVID-19. So we ask that you proactively screen your student daily to ensure that they are not experiencing any COVID-19 symptoms. If your child is experiencing any of the following symptoms and the symptom is new or different from a baseline, we ask that you opt for remote learning until your child is able to return to school. Additionally, we ask parents to immediately report to your student's campus if your child has the following symptoms or has tested positive for COVID-19. And so those following symptoms include feeling feverish with a temperature greater of 100, a loss of taste or smell, having a cough, having difficulty breathing or a shortness of breath, fatigue, severe headache, chills, sore throat, congestion, runny nose, shaking or exaggerated shivering, significant muscle pain or aches, and then diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. So for students returning to school after a positive COVID test, the student may return when 10 days have passed since symptoms first appeared, and they've been fever and symptom-free for 24 hours. Now, students who experience symptoms of COVID-19, they can return to face-to-face instruction once they've either received a negative COVID test or that they have a doctor's note allowing the student to return to school. So that may be in the event that they have a different diagnosis that's been identified by the doctor, such as a cold or allergies or strep throat. And so they're out for a small period of time and then they can return after that. So to ensure the safety and health of all students, parents and students must visit with the campus nurse prior to returning to face-to-face instruction after a positive COVID test or after the student has experienced symptoms of COVID.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Heathcote. There's one other topic that I wanted to share with you on today's update, which involves our UIL team events that are hosted in Midlothian ISD. Heritage High School football and volleyball team competitions are in full swing, and Midlothian High School and all of our middle schools will soon begin. On Tuesday of this week, UIL sent districts additional guidance and expectations for our spectators at all UIL sporting events. Our spectator guidelines have been updated to reflect these requirements, and our campus principals are in the process of communicating this information with all parents. These expectations include UIL events held at our MISD Stadium inside our high schools and middle school gyms or at the high school and middle school playing fields. MISD will also post the spectator information on our social media outlets. The UIL expects fans to wear masks at all times unless eating or drinking, and to increase our social distancing efforts. So our MISD athletic department will be marking off additional seating to address social distancing requirements. In addition, there are 2 sections of the visitor side seating that are reserved for home fans in order to help with social distancing. So that's referring to our Midlothian ISD stadium, and that will go into effect tomorrow night for the Heritage game. Ushers will also be available at the stadium on Friday nights to assist spectators with finding open seating. We are grateful for spectator support at our UIL events for our high schools and middle schools, and we want to be able to continue to have a great fan base. In order to do so, we must be more vigilant in following the COVID-19 mitigation protocols that are being expected by the UIL and expected, of course, by Midlothian ISD. So as you can see today, our district has put a lot of effort into learning and the safety of all of our students. I'd like to thank you, our parents, for your ongoing support and patience during this time. This situation continues to be fluid and continue to evolve, and it will continue to do so throughout this year. Later this afternoon, you're going to receive that email that I've mentioned several times throughout this video. So please check that, refer to that for all the details. That's there for your reference. And then, as I mentioned before, we have a back to school website on our webpage. So please check that out as well. I just want to thank you for joining us today. And if you have any questions, please continue to reach out. I'm certain that there are probably some questions that have come up through our Facebook Live or through our Zoom. We have staff that's been answering those, so hopefully your questions have been answered. If not, we will continue to add to our FAQ that is on that website that I have referenced. So thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.